Hey guys, Cygnar Cyclone here. Black Templar if you're watching this on A4. I started recording, well I thought I was recording. I started painting and I wasn't recording, so basically just working on this Cyclone. I've only put down, these two areas of paint so far, nothing really major. Matter of fact, I probably could just do the entire video series without base coating, and I don't think anybody would be really objective to that. I don't think anybody would really be careful of that. But it is part of the process, so I always include it. Base coating isn't really hard. It's a bit of patience and a bit of luck when it comes to what model you're doing. But it's really just brush control, just making sure you don't put paint everywhere. Only on the places that you want it to be, obviously. But brush control is really easy to learn and to get the hang of. You want to know how to get good at brush control? Paint all the damn time. That's how you do it. People look at my stuff, and my friends have looked at my stuff, and they're all amazed because it's hard to replicate what I do, and they say I make it look easy. In reality, for me, it is pretty easy. I mean, this what I'm doing right here, this is pretty basic stuff here. I mean, this is kind of a chore almost. And really all it is getting to the point where you do it. I mean, I paint on a realistic estimate probably 2 hours a week, maybe 3 hours. When I'm getting on a series like this, I'll paint 6 hours, 7 hours though. So I mean, just paint a lot. That's how you get good at brush control, is practicing, actually practicing as much as you can. This model here is gonna have a great amount of highlighting to it because it's got such broad shoulders. This big broad shoulder plate and these big broad torso pieces up top are gonna be wonderful for water this down a little bit. Wonderful for highlighting and wet blending. Okay. Just moving right way around the model. I want to try and get this in here without... No, I messed it up. I didn't really mess it up. These handle deals here are going to be painted a different color. I was hoping to paint them without touching them in the blue. It's not a real big deal because they're going to get painted over anyways, but... try and leave that black line as untouched as possible, because I'm going to go over that with black again, of course. But it's always nice to have it super sharp, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and water down the paint quite a little bit here, and then I'm going to go over this pad here again. And this will really smooth it out. Get a base coat on it, and then really wet the paint and smooth it out real nice. The paint flows and will cover up mistakes or gaps that you've left in your paint work when you water down the paint, just like that. It's not going to cover hard lines like black areas, but it's going to cover up subtle mistakes in the what the hell is it called? The actual tinge. Like, I'm trying to say that if you've coated paint lighter over some areas, it will help cover that. So if your brushwork is lighter in some areas and you have little bits of black kind of showing through, watering down the paint and then covering a large area and smoothing it out will really help to even the coating. So just moving right along, nothing fancy here. Go ahead and see if I can get the brush in there. Probably can. Yeah, definitely can. There we are. Looking quite nice already. This is probably going to be broken into maybe 2 videos, the base coat, because there's not so many different colors, but there is a lot of area to cover. So might need to break it into 2 parts. And if I do, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not going to hinder the process too much, but I do have to wait in between for coats to dry and stuff like that. So okay. Alright. I want to try and talk more about interesting stuff. I mean, I understand that this is a mostly, let's call it, we'd probably call it a demonstration. Most of the videos are demonstration oriented or maybe education oriented. I'm trying to teach people by doing, you know, people who are watching are picking up on techniques and stuff, so we call it more of an educational channel. But I know that it does get boring after a while. You don't want to just sit here and watch me. I mean, all I would have to do right now is say, hey, I'm going to do a base coat, and then do the base coat. I mean, there's not a lot of instruction involved. You just take the dang brush and you paint on the base coat. But since you're going to be here, and since everybody who comes by here comes for the same thing, I've decided in my videos from now on to kind of try and be more interesting. I mean, I was trying to be interesting before, but I mean, now that I really understand that a lot of my views come from a certain demographic, you know, I can offer entertainment at the same time. It's not a big deal. Now I'm just going to go ahead and screw that line and go over it because I want to get as close as I can with that. Anyways, so this collar area is pretty difficult to miss these lines between, so I'm just going to go ahead and go over them. I was trying to stop, or I was trying to avoid that at first, but then I was just like, you know, we'll just hardline them later. Anyways, so I'm going to try to be more entertaining. Talk more maybe about myself or something. What I'm into, things like that. It's always important to keep things like politics and religion and stuff like that out of your channel if you're doing a YouTube channel. That kind of stuff is reserved for, I want to say, special situations. Not generally the most accepted topics on YouTube. Not because it's not, you know, not because of any certain reason in particular. It's just that some people enjoy discussing other things. So here, what we'll do is finish that collar first. I think I got all of it. No, I didn't. Something I like to do, and I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with creepypasta. Creepypasta is a website. You go to creepypasta.com or creepypasta.wiki. It's a website basically for user-submitted kind of horror fan fiction. It's where things like Slenderman and the Shadow People and all the dark Pokemon fan fiction. That's where all that kind of stuff starts out on. And it's a really neat website if you've ever been on there. You know what I'm talking about. But I really enjoy going on there just to get creeped out in the middle of the night. I really like to look up Slenderman stuff. If you don't know who that is, he's actually, I'm pretty sure he started out as a internet meme. If you don't know what a meme is, it is just a picture basically. I'm pretty sure he started out as a meme, but then grew into this kind of almost like Bigfoot. People weren't sure if he was real or not, and so the people who knew they created him kind of used that to their advantage and put him out to be a real entity. And so basically he's you can call him a ghost. I think the best thing to say is entity, because you don't know, nobody really knows because he's not real, first of all. But secondly, in the fluff, he's put out to be an unknown being. But basically he's a tall person, tall male, supposedly male, who's about 8 to 10 feet tall, and stalks people. At first it was children, and then later on it became people. And he's got no face, which is the most prominent feature of his his character. You want to call it a character? I think a character is probably the best word. He's got no face. He's a faceless entity. And so people who encounter him are later abducted by him. So people will run into him, or people will accidentally run into him or see him or go looking for him purposely or whatever. But later on they will go missing, and it's assumed, or people are led to believe, that he has abducted them. For whatever reason. People aren't sure what the reason is. And people aren't sure what he does to people when they are taken. But that's what happens. If you've ever gone to YouTube and looked up Marble Heights, that is actually a really good web series that gives you some history on Slender Man. I got this pocket here that's broken up, so I gotta see it just there. I gotta fix that once it dries up. That's why you don't paint over stuff, but I wanted to get that coat as even as I could, and lo and behold, I've kind of messed it up by trying to do so. Basically what I'm going to do on this pad here. There we go. So, moving right along. I say that a lot. And get the undercarriage part of these blue panels. It's actually kind of a continuation of the collar. Just gonna get those. And then we'll get the front of that collar, because we didn't actually get that. Make sure I'm in the frame. And just knock those out real easy. Oh, there we go. And try and get that other side real carefully. There we go. Super awesome. Coming out real good, real well, real good, really nicely. There we go. Say that. Really nicely. These pieces, I'm not sure if they're. Actually, I'm pretty positive they're supposed to be gray, but I'm gonna base coat them blue just so I can discriminate between the pieces and the carriage, basically, the torso. These metal, I think they're supposed to be hinges, kind of like hinges that you would have on the front hood of your car. But I need to be able to discriminate between those and other things I'm painting, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint them blue. If I have to, just come back later and paint them a different color. Patch that hole up just like that. And we've got a real even coating of the torso. Especially when, you got, maybe if you have some air bubbles, or maybe you have some slight variations in your consistency of your paint, or maybe you have some issues with your tint, you can really fix that up with a wash, or with, especially my favorite thing is when I dull coat them. That really, when I get just about done and I dull coat things to seal them up, the dull coat really knocks back the color and will help to hide those issues. Evening out the coats as it goes as well. So we got the torso just there. Of course, trying to leave those black lines. When I say black lines, I mean these black lines in the middle here. Kind of clarify what's going on here. Do not forget to get in between the shoulder and the panels, because you look here, in between this left shoulder and the panel, you can see those black kind of bouncing ridges in there, and you don't want those. You want to make sure you get those, or else those black lines, once you dull coat, will be very definitive. You can see that stuff from way far away, and you want to make sure to cover that up, or else people are going to be like, what the hell is that? And you're going to be like, oh crap, I forgot to fill that in. And you have to go home and make sure nobody's looking, whip it out, and fill that in. When I say whip out, I mean the brush, of course. I didn't. That was a sex joke. Anyways. That looks pretty good for a base coat. you get these undersides here. Actually, we can call this one a video. Go ahead and save this for part 2. See you in part 2. Cheers! Got a brush in my mouth. Yeah.